Well, while all these atrocities are carried out, the interim government has not relented. In a press release issued after a conference with media men, the president of Ambazonia, the former British Southern Cameroons, Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako, said that its citizens have remained the victims as La République du Cameroon forces of occupation have continued indiscriminate arrest, killings, torture of civilians, and recent burning down of villages, adding that impunity remains the order of the day, encouraging the abusers, fueling further violence and harm, and prolonged the conflict.
There are a lot of diverse voices on a way out of the present quagmire in southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, since the colonial La République du Cameroon government has boycotted and shied away from any move to ending the war. It is high time the people of Ambazonia decide on their future. These can only be through a referendum. Well, a referendum is the object of President Dr. Samuel Ikome of the interim government's press release. Others have for long decided on the fate of the people of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, and it is high time they take their destiny into their own hands.
Well, courtesy of an article by The Sun, the Republic of Ambazonia has sought the redress of a referendum on its sovereignty and for the welfare of its citizens. Sako stated the Human Rights Watch reports, UNHCR, and other NGOs have consciously reported with great underestimation of the overall collateral damage, where more than 45,000 people have been killed, to say the least, more than 2 million displaced, saying even as we speak, some have recently died in the oceans of Antigua while trying to escape from the war. And he says we wonder why the media mostly reports without seriousness.
According to the president, in his words, he said, when we peacefully requested reforms, primarily in the education and judicial sector, the colonial government's response was brutal. Several protesters were arrested and detained. By early 2017, the peaceful agitators had morphed into an armed conflict, an existential conflict for us, given that we must ensure our existence within the community of nations of the world. The Republic of Cameroon's President Paul Biya has labeled us, in quote, terrorists, and has been disinclined to any form of honest and or inclusive mechanism to end the war. According to him, awarding us a special status would be a way out of the carnage.
Well, in the president's address about the Ambazonian interim government position on the referendum, he said that the Republic of Cameroon boycotted the Swiss-led mediation after pretending to be a party for over 2 years, noting that most recently they received some individuals within our community and the Canadian government on pre-talks, only to turn around and deny their participation in the talks. Well, he explained that unfortunately, this onslaught of genocidal proportion somehow remains one of the highly underreported wars in recent times. As for the reasons for this silence, he says your guess is as good as mine. He also stated that the French Cameroon's rhetoric, which has engulfed mainstream media, has been very unfair, stating that the gimmick is to misinform, disinform, and manipulate. Quoting the president, one of such that we have identified is the question of a referendum proposed as a way to end the conflict, and that will be our main focus for today as the interim government's position on the issue of a referendum.
Well, in his words, he says there are divergent views and proposals among stakeholders, both internally and externally, on how to resolve the ongoing conflict in southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. That has resulted in an unprecedented 21st century genocidal perpetrated by the Paul Biya regime of the Republic of Cameroon, also known as La République du Cameroun. Among these divergent views is a proposal for a referendum to be held in the territory of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, which is former UN trust territory under the UK, to determine the future of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. Cognizant of the UNGA Resolution 1608 of the 21st April 1961, granting independence to the UN Trust territory of Southern Cameroon and the subsequent non-execution of all the processes of decolonization prescribed therein. The interim government, representing the aspirations of an overwhelming majority of Ambazonians, has been clear and consistent in articulating the basis of the root cause of the Southern Cameroon's problem, which is the non-execution in its entirety of the above-mentioned UN resolution, that is, paving the way for the annexation and recolonization of Southern Cameroon by La République du Cameroun in 1961.
Well, quoting him, therefore, complete decolonization is what we seek, and this involves complete restoration, absolute sovereignty, and recognition of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia as the 55th state of Africa. The president went on that we believe a plebiscite, a non-binding survey of our opinions by the UN, is an acceptable democratic process to ascertain the majority view of Southern Cameroonians, Ambazonians, since the last plebiscite of 1961, if there is any doubt about the majority position. And we object to any proposed referendum on grounds that it presupposes falsely that Southern Cameroon is part of the Republic of Cameroon, La République du Cameroun, and is seeking to it as an independent country. We were granted independence in 1961. It was only the joining that did not take place legally, and the Republic of Cameroon withdrew from the Union project in 1984 when they reverted to their original name before 1961, President explained.
Well, the former British Southern Cameroon leader further noted, we have never been part of the Republic of Cameroon, so we do not need a referendum to decide if we can separate from a non-existent union. Also, a binding referendum will exclude the genuine dialogue. We need to address the root causes of the conflict because it is based on winner takes all. He goes on to say, we are not fighting to change the form of government in the Republic of Cameroon. We are not also fighting for constitutional changes within the Republic of Cameroon, that's the French Cameroon. We are fighting against annexation. We are defending our restored independence. Annexation cannot be resolved through a referendum because it is either a right or a wrong issue. Just as the solution of rape is not marriage, we do not need a referendum to tell right from wrong. We need the international justice system, or better still, a negotiated settlement. You are aware that after World War I, British Southern Cameroons as well as French Cameroons became a League of Nations mandate from 1922 to 1945. They both became mandated territories.
Well, still speaking on the historicity of Ambazonia, the president went further to explain that after 1945, both mandated territories became trusteeship territories under the UN, as stipulated in Chapter 12 and 13 of the United Nations Charter. The trusteeship system dealt with the supervision of known self-governing states designated as trust territories and what we were, a trust territory. Now, the basic objective of the ITS, that is the International Trusteeship System, as declared by Article 76 of the UN Charter, was the promotion of the political, economic, social, and educational advancement of inhabitants of trust territories and progressive development towards self-government. The trusteeship agreement, which brought British Cameroons under the ITS, was approved on 13th December 1946. The president noted that the UN, after having recognized Southern Cameroon's sovereignty, did not give a referendum. Rather, they gave the peoples of Southern Cameroon a plebiscite.
He further explained, a plebiscite is a consultation of opinion. It wasn't a referendum, it wasn't law. If the UN thought we were not autonomous, but just a tiny part of La République du Cameroun, they would have given us a referendum. During their plebiscite, given the limited choice available, British Southern Cameroons entered into a trial relationship of a federation of two sovereign states of equal status because French Cameroon got its independence on 1st January 1960, while British Southern Cameroon got her independence on 1st October 1961. A plebiscite presupposes that we are two different people seeking to establish our sovereignty. Note that Article 47 of the Federal Constitution between these two states of equal status provided that the federal form of the states should never be altered or alterated or even changed. And that is exactly where the problem is. In 1972, French Cameroon unilaterally organized a referendum with one ballot option. Yes, which means the same thing. Not only was it a one ballot option, but French Cameroon was also invited to participate. This explains why we say that the entire process was fraudulent and even flawed.
Well, according to the president, if the United Nations wants to serve the majority opinion on this issue, they should conduct another non-binding plebiscite in the southern Cameroons, not a referendum, as this is the threshold position of the people that we represent, the president says. Therefore, any views or proposals that seek to mask the status quo of Cameroon, the southern Cameroon's colonial status, under the Republic of Cameroon are far-reaching and do not represent the aspirations of the overwhelming majority of Ambazonians as far as this liberation struggle is concerned, the president stated.
Well, furthermore, he said that the reasonable immediate way forward to end this conflict, supported by the international community, external stakeholders, is a genuine, all-inclusive dialogue, mediated negotiation process. The interim government under my leadership has advocated for this process, which was spearheaded by the Swiss, but the Republic of Cameroon failed to commit, saying that to concretely resolve these conflicts and subsequently resolve the issue of the sovereignty of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia once and for all, another plebiscite, preceded by internationally mediated negotiation, should be the right step forward.